Okay. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're joining. Welcome to the first event of Accounting for Impact of 2025. The year has started quite busy for many of us. Thanks for joining for this very interesting event. Hopefully, we know that it will be interesting because we have Mary and Fernanda joining us from Latin America, Colombia, and Brazil, respectively. Today, they will tell us about building possibility for joint research and impactful outcomes, the case of the QRCA Latin American Network. That's the event title. And, I've been personally sort of tangentially involved with this community, but I think in terms of impact work and also a specific region of the world that sometimes we honestly don't focus enough. I think it would be great to know and hear about how this has all started. So hopefully Fernanda will join soon, but Mary can get us started. I think she has a short presentation. So we will have her present and give her the floor for about 35 minutes. And then we'll turn it to for Q&A from the floor. You can also put your questions in the chat or raise your hands when the time comes. So I think as Fernanda just joined, so I'll just unmute her. And Mary, if you want to share your slides, and Mary is joining us from Bogota, Colombia, and Fernanda from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So, Mary, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us to share some views from the QRCA network and community, the qualitative research and critical accounting community, working mostly from Latin America, but we like to describe ourselves as an international community. And I also give some space to Fernanda, that is already with us. It's really tricky for us when we have different time schedules and time zones to organize our time, but Fernanda is already with us. Please, Fernanda, to say hello.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I don't know where you are now. I'm in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, speaking from my house, and it's a pleasure to be here to talk a bit about a QRCA initiative by invitation of our friend Charles Shaw. And it's really good to see so many friendly faces here together today. Thank you for the invitation, Charles.
Very welcome.
Okay, so
yeah, we can get started. Yeah, great.
Yes. I'm going to share the screen, and we're sharing the same presentation for you. Just the idea is to share some of part of the experience of this network. We have many people involved in our activities. The first thing maybe that we want to just share with you is the website that the network, the QRCA network, is under construction. Is still having some adjustment, but right now we are working with this website. We can share this link in the chat later. But the qualitative research and critical accounting network is there just for you to know more about our activities, and also for you to register as part of our participant and members. So what we are going to share with you today is some of our activities, on our initiative and future, of course, future endeavors that we want to share, and maybe in the question and answer session, you can have some ideas, more idea for us. First, part of our history and previous effort, because this was, we can say, this was part of joint efforts of different people in different countries. Some of the conference, the initiative that we have been working on. Some impacts, initial impacts, outcomes. I'm not sure about impact, but maybe some outcomes and in the future, what are going to be the future, the immediate future for us. About previous efforts, as Charles was talking about, my name is Mary Vera Colina. I'm originally from Venezuela, not Minnesota, Venezuela. I'm working in Colombia since 2010. And we have a research group. We have different activities. In Colombia, we have a very important community of working on critical accounting from many years ago, from the 70s, I can say from the 60s. But we are working as in research group. Charles was with us in 2022. And many people have been visiting Colombia from different countries. And we have been working on this discussion from many years ago, but since 2010, we have this initiative that we need to work with other voices, not only Colombian voices and Latin American voices. We have this idea. Also in Brazil, we have the University of Brasilia working with this idea, University of Sao Paulo, University of Rio de Janeiro, where Fernandez working, and in these different voices, because we didn't know each other by that time. In 2017, I met Fernanda. I was working also with Silvia Pereira de Castro Casanova in Sao Paulo. We met sometimes. In 2015, I met Silvia. In 2017, we met each other, and we just started working with a special stream in the International Critical Management Studies Conference that were taking place in England. It was in Liverpool at that time, and we proposed a special stream about critical accounting. And this special stream, one of the features was having papers in different languages, Spanish, Portuguese, as well as English. So some previous efforts. We have the special conference in Brazil and AMPAT. So all this conference, all these efforts, one of the main features beyond the topic was language, for example, and also having different profiles. So we have the similar ideas, but with met in some point, and we can say the story is really long, but we don't have time. But we can say maybe these are kind of the background about the QRCA. Also, some
Can
people
I add
from
some comments here?
yeah. Just
Just
to finish my participation, some people also in other countries, in Canada, in UK, they were visiting us, and they also had this concern about what is happening there and how we can bridge this gap. Go ahead, Fernanda.
Yeah, what is interesting to notice here, we are talking to the Accounting for Impact community. For us from Latin America, by that time, it was really hard to engage in international critical accounting conferences. We have an yearly conference, CPA or accounting IPA or APIRA, but for us, we didn't have the tradition to participate in those forums. And we had the language barrier, the format barrier, and all of us are trying to circulate in different forums. So we found in International Critical Management Studies Conference a space where the organizer, the conveners, invited us and put us in contact. It was the first time we were working together with an international peer to organize an international conference. It was like a seed that was germinating that then could help us to develop other conferences, and especially QRCA. We felt at that space that we could do our own organization of topics and interests and languages, plurality of languages in international critical management studies. So it is important to, should I talk, Mary, or you are going to talk about this slide?
You can go.
Okay, it is important to notice that I'm here and Mary is here, but Silvia was an important part in this project since the beginning, and also Professor Beatriz at UNB. We were all trying to figure out how to have some small spots in a very closed field in Brazil for critical and interpretive research. So after International Critical Management Studies Conference, Professor Silva participated at UNB in 2017, December 2017, where she met for the first time Yves Gendron. So at this event at University of Brasilia, it was 2017, not 16. And Sylvia and Yves started organizing the first QRCA 2018 at University of São Paulo as a workshop for the journal. If we could organize something for the journal, what we could do, how to approximate the journal with local peers, how to have it was really impactful to have the editor of CPA debating the papers in São Paulo 2018. It opened an avenue for several scholars to have their work circulating and getting to know other important scholars in the field. Would you like to go on, Mary?
Yeah, and from my side, what we have in Colombia and other countries, especially in Colombia, we can say that we have a strong critical community in the country. When you see accounting research in Colombia, I cannot say that the mainstream research in Colombia is mainstream research in other countries. Mainstream research in Colombia, we can say is qualitative, we can say is kind of critical, but criticality in Colombia sometimes, some years ago, we can see that as really a close community only talking to each other or talking to specific profiles. And one of the concerns of some people, including myself, is we need to talk to other people also. We need to talk to Brazil, we need to talk to United States, Canada, Europe. So our idea is to open this community. So we have these concerns. Talking and talking and talking, we decided to go with this openness, and that's from my view, and Fernanda's can share this view. We try to do something different, and maybe this different path went together in 2018 in Sao Paulo with this workshop. It was initially, as Sylvia described many times, it was just a workshop, and then we decided this was really good. The feeling that we have that time was really good, and we decided to move forward. And this is what we have right now. We have the conference every year, except we decided that don't have this big, it's not a big conference, but it's a big feeling. It's not big in numbers, maybe. We have around 120 people gathering in the conference each year. But when we have the critical perspective on accounting conference every 3 years, we decide we don't have the QRCA conference, but we just gather all the efforts, and we had the first CPA conference in 2023 in Bogota. That year we didn't organize the QRCA conference because we just put all the effort in the CPA conference, and when we have the next CPA conference, it would be the same. That's we include the CPA conference as a QRCA conference because we don't have QRCA conference that year. But this is the history of the conferences. Fernanda.
Yes, and when the pandemic came, we were challenged of doing the conference virtually. And it was really hard for us. 2020, 2021, the community was spread with low contact. Some students were only facing their supervisors, at least in Brazil, that were really difficult to work or to foster critical and qualitative research in Brazil. So we decided by that time not only to organize the conference, but also to include the idea of having webinars, of organizing more activities, engaging with colleagues from several countries. Charles participated with us on QRCA 2020 online, or 2021. Now I don't remember quite well. We were in a panel with us. Matthew Sorolla, that is here, were here with us in a session presenting a paper. I think that the virtuality that pandemic that brought to us opened up space for more diversity, more engagement, and diverse participation for the QRCA group. It was only a value for us to have not only gender diversity, ethnic diversity among our activities, but with virtuality, it was easier and not so expensive to grant that diversity in our community. We were able to invite more international scholars to participate in the panels, and also to include for the first time translation services on the sessions. So we had international colleagues speaking English being translated to Portuguese and Spanish, and also people from Latin America speaking Spanish and being translated into English and Portuguese. And it became a hallmark of the QRCA conferences to have translation services. It opened a front to be even more inclusive among our peers, because in our community, it's not that common to have colleagues that could present their papers in English, or to be heard, or to listen to international scholars speaking English and having the translation services. So from the pandemic on, not only the 2020 and 2021 conferences, but all the webinars we organized and counted with translation services. And it was very inclusive and rich for us. It became a hallmark of our network initiatives. And what we could see here are some images from the webinars, and you could see that we have a lot of different topics and different. We're coming from post-truth, ethics, accounting education, gender, issues of becoming a qualitative research, becoming a critical research. We have different formats in terms of engagement, of participation with the audience too. We had editors talking about special issues, talking about the focus and scope of their journals, and also special topics that could have more engagement within our community. So we think this combination, this diversity became something that spread a lot during the pandemic, and we tried to kept it. But after, I think that 2023 and 2024, we reduced the number of webinars because people were back on classes, back on in-person activities, and it became a little bit stressful to handle all of them, all the webinars together. So, but this is something we're going to talk about in the future.
Yeah, and one important thing of the different activities is the beyond languages, is the topics, the way that we approach to the topics, because having this combination of profiles, even from their education background, their regions, their different views of the world, how they approach the topics is really not only different, they contribute on the enrichments of the topics. So each activity is really wonderful. And not only from the speakers, also from the people that are attending to the webinars, or also to the people that is attending to the in-person sessions. For example, today we have this webinar in accounting for impact. We have different people in the session and in the chat or in the microphone. We have the opportunity to interact. So these interactions are really, really different when we compare this with the session that we only talk with the people that we see every day. So for us, it's really important. As you can see in these images, we had a lot of more activities to show, but in these images is different when you talk with a person that the main background is Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, and with other person that is based in Australia, in England, in Canada, in France. Is a really rich discussion. So for us, this is really important. just to move forward
Also, we
because
can add
we don't
to
have
this
too much time. Go ahead.
in terms of impact. We also, every session, we included a PhD student or a young scholar. Um, to have representation of these groups. And behind the screen, or the activities, we had several participants from our research groups, students and young scholars also contributing to organizing, impacting their trajectories in terms of constituting themselves as researchers, as academics. So and also, what is interesting here, we have several impacts. I'm going only to talk about quite a few of them, and Mary about all the others. We from this long period, we had a huge editorial workload among us. We organized Mary and Sylvia and Yves Gendron with Diane Law organized a book called Breaking Boundaries. Mary, we're going to talk a bit about it. We also organized several special issues. We had a special issue on critical perspective and accounting with papers presented on CPA 2018. We have the special issue Southern Accounts that we are handling the papers, and it's going to be published probably 2027. We have a special issue on accounting education that is being launched this year, a special issue on Innovar, and Academia ARLA, Academia Revista Latinoamericana de Administración, as Latin American Management Journal. All these special issues have in common that the submissions could be handled in the first and second round in multiple languages. It reduced a lot the barriers for submission. It helped not the authors to improve their papers and to have feedback in their own languages, because nowadays we have huge groups of potential reviewers for papers that are speaking Portuguese and Spanish, and all these initiatives also. CPA were handling papers in Spanish with Carlos Larrinaga and Javier Orcilius. It became a hallmark that CPA now has submissions in other languages. And I think that QRCA reinforced that initiative a lot in other journals. Mary?
Yeah. Sometimes when we mention the word impacts, some our members say, I don't know, I'm not sure about impacts. And maybe when we see that as Latin Americans, we have a different view, because it's not the same when we see our students, our graduate students, actually even our undergrad students talking and working alongside with scholars from different part of the world. Yeah, so it's not the same when you, as students, especially because as professors, as senior scholars, we can go to your conference, we can go to as visiting professors to other places. But for our students, I think there we can see a really significant impact. Example, we have undergrad students going to your universities now with scholarships, because you see the potential there. You see people that can do really interesting thing in research. So some of the pictures that you see there is from graduate students. We have people doing the PhD in different universities. Maybe they can do this without QRCA, yes, but I don't know if maybe in the same time schedule. Now we have joint PhD supervisions that in the past we didn't have. It's because of QRCA. I cannot assure that, but it's part of the outcomes that we are seeing right now, and many of the scholars, European scholars, North American scholars, Australian scholars that are willing to work with Latin American students and scholars because they know more about us. So it's part of maybe the work we're doing with QRCA is easy in it's part of the dissemination of our work. And yes, we had many things to say about part of these outcomes, but we need more time. It's not the idea today. And for example, I want to highlight this special course module in the PhD in UF in University of Rio de Janeiro, that in this course is about critical research, pesquisa crítica but in this course we have some sessions in Spanish, some sessions are in English. In some sessions, Jean Haslam is inviting speak is sorry sorry for the Spanish Spanglish, but sometimes we have a speaker in English because we know each other about it. Maybe if I will invite some speakers to my course, they say, I don't know who you are. But now they say, yes, I want to go to your course because I've been in your university and I know the quality of what you are doing. So it's maybe because of QRCA, maybe yes, maybe no. But it's part of we identify as outcomes and maybe ongoing impacts. Okay, so many things to share, but just
Just,
really.
just, just to add some information on the course, on the critical accounting course. University of São Paulo used to have a critical accounting course at the beginning, between 2013 and 16. But and every year, also at University of Nacional de Colombia, they invited international critical scholars to handle the course, to present the papers, to address the topics. At UFRJ, after QRCA consolidating the community, opening space for local scholars and local authors, this course is based on local authors. We are dealing with local epistemics and also international epistemics and theories, but we are having Brazilian and Colombian and Chilean, also international scholars handling each class. It's a more diverse course. And I invite you all to if you are a PhD student, to maybe participate with us in this course. For the future, we have some future ahead. I think that the course will still go on for several years.
Before the future, because I think it's also really important to highlight that it's not only about our students and scholars sending our research as papers to other journals, so that North American journals, European journals, is also North American scholars and European scholars sending papers to our journals. So our journals that in the past maybe were seen as only for Latin American people, now are also being seen as possible journals to publish. So to publish for other. So that's why Innovar is there. And
we
it's
have two papers from Yves Gendron at UFRJ Journal published here. Yes, and Innovar too, yes. For the future, we have two invitations for this group today, and I hope you are able to join us. We have the QRCA conference this year. It's going to be handled in Brazil. It's going to happen in Brazil at Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul. Mato Grosso do Sul is the open door for a very beautiful area, very beautiful sightseeing of natural spaces with beautiful rivers. And also we have a great federal university there, and the QRCA conference will be held at Campo Grande. Campo Grande between 11th to 14th of November. And you can have a quick flight to São Paulo from wherever you are, and a flight from São Paulo to Campo Grande. It is about 50 minutes from São Paulo. So please come and join us at QRCA conference at University of Campo Grande. Just have a shorter Zoom, Mary, please. This is the invitation for CPA 2026. We are having the conference at Rio de Janeiro. Submissions will open by the end of 2025 after QRCA. So it will be an opportunity to join our community again, because the QRCA community are supporting the organization of CPA conference in Rio. Not only the scholars from UFRJ, we have a group of 10 scholars from UFRJ, but also Mary is helping us, colleagues from USP and Federal do Mato Grosso do Sul too. These pictures are from UFRJ, and the other, we have a partner, Getúlio Vargas Foundation, that is another business school that we have here in Rio. We're going to have activities at UFRJ and Getúlio Vargas Foundation. We will combine an old historical building from UFRJ and the newly fresh building from Getúlio Vargas Foundation. And the conference in CPA in Rio will be held from 13th to 16th of July of 2026. So please come join us. We are going to send invitations for the editorial committee, people that are going to be reviewers. So please pay attention to your inbox. You are probably going to be invited to be reviewer or to contribute to sessions for CPA 2026.
And one important thing about the QRCA conference in 2025 also is that you can submit some papers also to be presented online. So we know that all the time we cannot travel, but for those that can travel, we want to have you there. But also for those that can also join the community online, is not the best way to explore, but also you can join online. And for the future also, of course we have some challenges, but for those that are not already involved in QRCA activities, we are always accepting expression of interest, maybe for webinars, workshops, also for QRCA conference. If you go to the webpage, you can see that this year we are accepting expression of interest for organizing the QRCA conference for 2027 and 2028. We have already some countries, so some universities that are already trying to organize for those years, but the expression of interest is open for everybody, as well as for the webinars. If you have topics for webinars, for workshops, we can run this online, and we can as you do with Accounting for Impact, we have some resources to support this webinar workshop in the topics that you may have in your minds. But challenges, for example, so far we try to run our activities based on donations or free of charge. So the funding is a challenge. We still discussing how to manage the money, because usually we offer translation. One of our discussions is always about translation, because of the language. Maybe it's not the most important thing in terms of topics, but for our community it's really important. We were discussing with Fernanda before the session is, okay, we Fernanda, me, and others in the community, we have many invitations to participate in this discussion in many countries. But what happened with our colleagues that don't speak English? So they are not receiving this invitation, and our invitation is, please, we have many people that are really good in their topics, and what happened with them? Why don't invite for one of these sessions a person speaking in Portuguese? And one good thing is that artificial intelligence is getting better in this kind of operational things, but we have this, sorry, I don't know what is happening in my computer.
And this aspect is really important because QRCA has several faces, not only Mary and Fernanda, but we would love to see several colleagues that have amazing research. They are able to write and publish in English, but to be here and speaking with the international audience is a barrier. So this is something that we are putting maybe for discussion with this group. How could we be more inclusive in more in other international forums, either than QRCA and CPA when it's held in Latin America? This is something that challenges us. We want not to be not the only faces here. Fernanda, Mary, Sylvia, we want Sandra, we want others that are unable to
Excellent.
communicate
Yeah.
freely in English.
Yeah, and yes, we put this in your session because we think that is one of our challenge, how to go to other communities beyond QRCA. And other challenges in not only in QRCA, I think in many communities is how to manage controversies inside the communities because we yes, we like diversity, we like inclusion, but with this we have a lot of controversies and we had to be honest, we need to manage this and we are working with that, so because we need communities to go beyond the first generation, we can say the sometimes communities also work as companies and companies need a succession, so how we can manage succession because we need new people to come to the network, we need new generations, and so this for us we are already discussing about some discussion about this, how to go beyond the first generation of QRCA. So it's not only about impact, it's future is also about having discussion and how we can keep this working. So I don't know, Fernanda, if you want to add something else just to finish. We're about to
Yes.
finish, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
And just a final word for us. Just we're a community of people from different backgrounds and multiple initiatives. That's uh, we just sharing with you some our views, our own views of Fernanda's, Mary, but we have more colleagues, and we can have more views from them. So more information to share, but it's not only what we you are listening from us. So it's I think it's all for from us just to have more interaction in this session. So thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much. This is very inspiring. I knew about some of the history and the work you've done, but I think you putting it together, illustrated with some past photos, make it even more impressive. I know we had a question coming up, and sorry, I had to just ask him to ask it at the end. I will make two quick comments, go back to him, and then I have more questions if nobody else or there's not many questions. The first thing is, I think it's a half joke, but CPA 2026, you timed it during the World Cup. So Brazil semifinals, if we are there, it could go a bit crazy. But I mean, that's just as a football fan, I couldn't escape mentioning it as the date of 2026 in July. It's there, but great initiative. I do think that you also, unless mistaken, I think the first papers in critical perspective and accounting published in Spanish, reviewed everything in Spanish. I think QRCA had definitely a role in that. The CPA conference in Bogota and again in Rio, uh, obviously QRCA and your community. So just looking at that, to me, it's a huge impact. In fact, it has such great impact that other journals like mine have actually being open to have other languages paper, unlike some other journals that hopefully they're getting there. So I just want to mention that as a form of impact that you have done already by collaborating, by engaging with editors like Yves Gendron at CPA and others. So just that. So Nasser, if I pronounce it right, sorry. I know you had your hand up, and if you have to, if you can, maybe unmute and ask your questions.
Yes. Hi, everyone. It was a very interesting presentation, and the timing for me is just very interesting because I'm about to actually travel to Latin America to present in Peru and Brazil in 1 week. Um, the so you touched on and you repeatedly mentioned that language barrier, and it was very interesting. I when I got the invite from the Peruvian actually professor, he asked me to present in Spanish because so many of their colleagues, he mentioned that so many of their colleagues cannot interact with me if I speak in English. And it happened like a month and a half ago, and I started for just for this because I was just so passionate about doing this because I've collaborated in many parts of the world, but this area is just so like I haven't had any touch, and I guess this language barrier has been a big thing, because they tend to publish in Portuguese or Spanish journals, and the papers are in those languages. So they asked me actually to present in Spanish, and actually uh, accepted the challenge. So I started learning Spanish just for that. Estoy aprendiendo español just for that. So I'm happy with that because I'm just adding another language. It's good, but I think that's a big barrier because no, not everyone is able to actually to actually learn another language to be able to collaborate with them. So if that is sorted out, that would be helpful. Another thing is about the journals that you mentioned, publishing in Spanish journals. I remember 2 years ago, I published in a journal called Spanish Journal of Finance and Accounting. But the problem for us, like I'm based in the UK, is that that is not going to help us, like because of the low ranking of those journals. It would be just for the networking purposes. It will not help us in our, like, for example, promotion stuff. So that's another thing I wanted to mention. And also, you mentioned you're just part of the, so you're not perhaps not uh, a comprehensive representative of the entire researchers in your country. So because I'm mainly a quantitative researcher, I published in CPA before, but I consider myself as a quantitative researcher. Even the paper we published in CPA was kind of uh, quantitative, qualitative, like together. So I was just wondering the scope for, if you can just let me know about the scope for quantitative studies, like, and quantitative researchers like myself to actually collaborate with a bit with colleagues in Latin America. And yeah, if I may have one more thing, is there any support for European researchers who want to actually interact with Latin American researchers? Sorry, too many questions.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Don't worry. No, just to have the brief answer to all your questions. No, yes, congratulations to you to this the effort to try to speak in Spanish is good. It's good for your even for your brain to learn another language. One of my message for you all and for any people in other countries is, for example, in your courses, why not try to read a paper in Spanish, a good paper, a good research paper in Spanish or Portuguese or Italian or other language. I don't know, because in our courses we always are reading papers in English, and we have good papers in other languages, not only in English. But why not? But your questions about the last question about quantitative papers in, for example, QRCA spaces, conference, or webinars, why not? Maybe you have quantitative methodologies, but your approach is critical. We are not saying that all the critical research must be qualitative. We don't know. So being critical is not only about one methodology. If we are, in my view, because this is one of our discussions in the network, but in my view, Mari Vera's view, is if we are critical, we cannot be so. so square-minded. So so maybe if you have a quantitative approach, you have some methodologies that are mainstream. Of course, you are not. You don't want a critical approach. But if you are trying to change your research, you are trying to, you have some concerns that are considered critical, you need to check. You need to check. We have, so for example, some people sending papers to the QRCA conference, but let's say something bad. They just want to visit some place, some exotic place in Latin America and sending a paper, whatever. No, we say no. This is not going to our conference because it's not. We don't see the point. But we are receiving papers, really interesting paper, and you're saying, you're being honest and saying, I want to do something with this. Help me. Yes, of course, come to the conference and we have the discussion with your paper, and we have done this with quantitative papers. It's a small quantity, but we have done this. So it depends it's up to you. What you want to do in our community. I am quantitative researcher because I don't know what to do with this, but I want to have a critical approach. Okay, let's talk. And that's what we do in our conference with some people like you, Nasser, that say, okay, this is interesting, but I don't know what to do with my topic. I have this and I need your help. And we do that. And we do that. I was you like 10 years ago. And I consider myself a different researcher now. But I was you 10 years ago. I have a correlation with SMEs, and I don't like this, but I need to do something with this. And now I know what to do with my PME, my SMEs. I do interviews and I do different things now. But in the past, I do correlations and equations, and I do different things now. But in the past, I do quantitative. Just to say that. Just I don't know, Fernanda, more from you.
Yes. Just to mention, Nasser, thank you for your message. I think you sent me an email, isn't it, to
Yeah,
come to FRJ?
yeah.
I remember. Yeah. I sent you. I never got anything back from you though. Yes.
Yes,
I
because yeah,
yeah,
personal. I'm having a very troubled personal life since
yeah.
January,
That's
but
fine. Yeah.
things are
I got an invite
becoming
from
calmer now.
Victoria actually. So I'm going to Victoria for
Yes, I know. I know. I'm
yeah.
professor at Victoria too. I'm professor from the program there, accounting
Ah,
program.
okay. So we may
Yeah.
we may see each other there.
I'm not. I won't be there, but we,
You know,
we
you
can
won't
we
be there.
can
Okay,
chat
okay,
later.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
But what
Okay,
I would like
okay.
to comment on one aspect that Nasser mentioned about local Latin American scholars publishing in Latin American journals. What is important to notice that we had in Latin America, as Leslie Chan presented at CPA Bogota, we had a very important open journal initiative in Latin America called Cielo database. So we have several high quality journals in Cielo with strong peer review processes that are publishing in Portuguese and Spanish, but nowadays publishing versions of the papers in English too. Part of this our regulatory bodies, at least in Brazil, are challenging the business schools and all the programs in several disciplines to publish more in international journals, and also for the local journals to enter the international databases. So nowadays we have some, I think we can have at least 10 Brazilian journals entering JCR and one Brazilian journal in the ABS list. But as you mentioned, because they are new in these databases, they are in the low rankings. It's ABS 1 or JCR Q3 or Q quartile 4 or 3. So it is, but if Jandrol says, as I'm interacting with this community, I can prepare a paper to submit to keep the dialogue. Even if I have already 5 good papers, I can have one in the Latin American to keep the conversation going on. So this is something that I invite you, everyone that is here. You probably have one paper that you can share and you can try to publish in a local Latin American journal, just to engage with, to get to know, and this will help to increase the collaborations. So another colleague was talking about support here in the chat. I think it was Otieno. How can African students be supported? And you asked about support for European too. What we are offering is to make connections between colleagues. When we have the opportunity to get to know each other. We don't have funding opportunities for travels to Latin America. As Mary mentioned, we don't have fundings for that. But the kind of support we are providing are translation services. And when an international professor came to FRJ, one of the scholars here helps translating questions and the interaction on the Q&A. All the time we have this. And for Africa, we did with Charles at last QRCA a panel, an integrated panel, Latin America and Africa, on environmental issues. Isn't it, Charles? It was really interesting to have scholars from Africa and scholars from Brazil interacting. I think we should do this panel again for the Mato Grosso edition this year too. Because it is very expensive probably to come from Africa to Latin America. I don't know. This is something we have to figure out. But what we could do, I think that other colleague here asked us about it. We can think of scholarships in terms of registration for the conferences. This is something that we can discuss internally. And principally, if we're talking about PhD students, this is something that you can apply, you can ask for support. And the hybrid version, the part that is online, the registration fee are quite low or sometimes zero. This is something that you can keep an eye on.
So, thank you for this. I think Nasser has asked a lot of different things and you covered a lot, plus some of the questions that you had in the chat. There are a couple more from Barbara and Ludivine, and if you see them, about the collaboration with the conference and event to spread this amazing approach to research, the challenge opportunities, and Ludivine asked about how they supported early career scholars. You have touched upon a few points in there. If you want to elaborate, feel free. I would just add on the Nasser's point that it was more of a challenge, sort of challenging question. Having the label QRCA, sometimes you inadvertently give a perception to exclude somewhat the quantitative researcher because you have qualitative critical. Totally agree that critical can be quantitative. I think that's one of the maybe concerns that Nasser has raised, because it does sound like it is a interdisciplinary or even not even a critical qualitative group. And I think for diversity, you ask how to include, maybe find a way to include those mainstream researchers who do sometimes good research. I'm telling you, it's not. So I have the same kind of discussion with other communities, but that's just a comment. You don't have to respond to that. If you want to speak to those two comments or anything you want the last few minutes. So yeah.
I would like to add about the quantitative. If a quantitative scholar are challenging structures of domination and powerful structures, they are really welcomed at QRCA. So what is important? You are handling a paper on inequality, on violence, on gender, even using a quantitative method, a panel, regression, ANOVA, MANOVA, whatever. You can be here. Even if you're using accounting financial data to challenge issues of neoliberalism, you are invited. I have a PhD student doing that. He's going to present his thesis this Friday. It will be on YouTube. If everyone here would like to know, I can share the link later. He's having accounting numbers to challenge neoliberalism in Brazil, in the petroleum sector in Brazil. So we are eager for that kind of study too, and I think that the journals too.
That's great. Yeah, I was just talking about the label of QRCA, meaning qualitative, and then people may think, oh, this is not for me, which is not maybe true, but the perception of the name with a it'd be
Yes, I
quantitative
know.
too, right? That's the only
Yeah.
thing, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I think for early scholar, Ludivine has a really interesting question about, have any accounts of reflection been published on these early scholars' impact that you had or support that you provided?
I
Uh,
had to check. There's a question about the publications. There's a paper, I think, from João Paulo and Alan Fernandez, a paper about the experience on they reflect on the experience on as PhD students, and they mention some. It's not about QRCA, but it's their experience on being PhD students, and they talk about something and about the networks. It's not about PSD. It's not, sorry, it's not about QRCA, but it's something like this. We can share with you, Charles, some of these
Yes.
papers where the students reflect on
yep,
their experience as PhD students, and part of the experience is QRCA.
that's good.
And I
Yeah.
think we had two papers about that. And some question about how we can support early career or PhD students. Yes, we had opportunities or we had experiences about co-supervision. Yes, we have. I think this is more frequent that we showed in the presentation. We had a lot of co-supervision experiences, but yes, the door is open about this. Just you have my email in the chat, and I don't know if Fernanda want to share also the email, but yes, we have this kind. It depends on the topic. You can see the profiles in the web page. The web page is under adjustment, but you can see the profiles. It depends on the topic, and we can explore opportunities for course supervision. This is the idea. And also for early scholar and PhD students, the idea is to have the workshops, the webinars on the
Mhm.
topic that you need. So it's not only about being physically in the university. You can explore scholarships if you find, for example, for African students or other regions, if you have the opportunity to get a scholarship from your university or from some funding agency, and you need a letter, you need a support from us, administration support, we can do that. We do that a lot, especially with Brazil and with Latin American agencies and European agencies. But we don't have funding, but we have administration to help you with some of the paperwork.
Great. This all sounds good. Thank you. I think we are at the hour. I'm conscious of time. I know people have to go places, myself included, but I'd like to thank you, both of you, again for providing a very rich and insightful background and history and what you guys doing at QRCA. You have definitely sparked some interest with the questions, and this will also be posted on the video. So, if people missed it, you can learn about QRCA more. The recording will be available very publicly on the website. And on that note, I'd like to also inform the participants. Also, thank you for attending. The next Content for Impact event will be held in June. We don't know the date yet. It should be some colleagues from New Zealand, so the time might be a little bit different than usual, but we'll try to rotate continents. You'll hear from us soon. We're working on that. So the idea is to have about an event every 3 months or so. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can reach out to us, and I think Mary and Werner offered to be also reached out through the email. So with that, I'd like to thank you again, and until next time, see you very soon. And good luck, and see you hopefully in Brazil or in the Latin America parts. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Gracias.
you. Thank you. Bye
Gracias,
bye.
gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias. Gracias.
Gracias.